The cryptocurrency market is about to explode, and so we received some massive news regarding the spot Bitcoin ETF and Blackrock, and so we're going to be going over that here shortly. We can see right now that Bitcoin is currently trading at $43,856, and we have Ethereum at 2,300, and so there's also some very interesting things happening between altcoins and Ethereum, and so we're going to be going over that throughout this video as well here. So let's jump right into it here. Let's take a look at the news regarding the spot Bitcoin ETF and Blackrock, and so they have met with the SEC 6 times to discuss the spot Bitcoin ETF, and they have filed an S1. In that amendment, there was some very interesting news disclosed, and that is that they plan to seed the iShares Bitcoin Trust with $10 million on January 3rd, 2024. And so in this S1 as well, there was other interesting news released that I think people are overlooking here. We can see that the affiliate of the trust sponsor purchased seed shares worth $100,000 for spot Bitcoin ETF on October 27th. And so if we go ahead and take a look at the chart here, on October 27th is when Bitcoin really started to pump, and so this is that area here circled in yellow. And so since then, we started seeing a lot of money start flowing into Bitcoin, and so they might have knew at that point that this was going to be approved. They went ahead and purchased some. Now, it wasn't a huge purchase. They've only bought 100,000. However, on January 3rd, they are announcing that they're going to potentially be buying $10 million, and so that is a pretty big bump up from the 100,000 the asset manager seeded in October. And so this is definitely huge news for Bitcoin. Now, if they buy $10 million, is it going to move the price? No, but retail likes to see that they are moving forward with that. They're expecting this to be approved, and so once they seed their fund with $10 million, I think that the ETF will be launched shortly after that. And so if you're interested in longing or shorting Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, you can check out Margex. There is a link underneath the video if you're interested in signing up for that, and so definitely make sure to check that out. We also have some other news from the SEC as well. They have been meeting with all of these different funds to determine the guidelines for the spot Bitcoin ETF. And in a meeting just a couple of days ago, there were 7 firms that all met together to launch the spot Bitcoin ETF. And they were told to submit final changes by December 29th. And so they know they have that deadline coming up January 10th. And so they're trying to figure everything out. They want to make sure everything's lined up and ready to go. And so that's another date to be looking out for here. By December 29th, they're going to have all their ducks in a row, and they're going to be ready to launch this Bitcoin ETF. And then we have Blackrock funding their seed iShares fund with $10 million as well. And so these are very bullish things here. We also have Nigeria central bank lifts the crypto ban, and so we're starting to see countries that maybe banned cryptocurrencies starting to lift those bans. We also saw a couple weeks ago Google starting to introduce cryptocurrency ads at the beginning of the year. They know that there's money to be made there, and so a lot of this are starting to realize the potential of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and they don't want to miss out on it. So they're starting to lift these cryptocurrency bans. They're starting to regulate cryptocurrencies. And so this is all very bullish. We also have Coinbase that have obtained a cryptocurrency license in France as well. They are a virtual asset service provider in France, and so this is another very bullish point for Coinbase and cryptocurrencies as well. And so let's go ahead and take a look at altcoins. Now, Bitcoin could definitely go up based on that news. However, I personally think that altcoins are going to have better returns than Bitcoin just because a lot of the cash that is in Bitcoin, once people start taking their profits, they're going to start moving into altcoins, knowing that these are smaller and there's more potential for gains. And so there's 3 different areas that we're looking for altcoin season. The first one is that Bitcoin dominance is dropping. And so we can see right here that Bitcoin dominance is dropping. If we do zoom out here and take a look at the big picture, in the bull run in 2017, we topped out a much higher Bitcoin dominance when there were not many altcoins around. However, this did form a trend line here, and then in 2021, we hit the top of that trend line and then started dropping. And so based on those 2 highs here, we could see the top of Bitcoin dominance resistance at the top of this white line. In addition to that, we also have this trend line here for Bitcoin dominance, and so we did just break down below that. And so this is going to be a very interesting weekly close coming up in about 10 hours. And so if we do end up closing below that trend line, I think we could potentially start seeing a reversal into altcoins from Bitcoin. Now, that could definitely continue. I was initially thinking that it would make it all the way up to this point here, and we start seeing the reversal around March after the Bitcoin ETF was approved. And so that's just one thing that I'm keeping an eye on. Again, this is dropping. The weekly close is going to be something that we're going to want to keep an eye on. And so the next thing we want to see here is that the altcoin market cap is increasing. And so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the total 3. Now this does not include Ethereum. However, this is other altcoins. And so we have been watching this here on the channel for quite some time. We saw this break into this zone here just a few days ago, and now it has been going up exponentially. And so a lot of this money is flowing into altcoins. We see Solana over $110. We're seeing a lot of larger cap crypto coins starting to move here. We can see if we look at crypto bubbles here, we can see that Bitcoin is stabilizing. However, we're seeing some of these cryptocurrencies, Rose especially, is doing very well today, up 56.7% in the last week. We can see Solana here as well, up 56%. And so we can see a lot of the money is starting to flow into larger cap cryptos. Now that is going to start flowing down through these other cryptos as well, so that's something to keep in mind. Now the last thing for altcoin season to really get started here is the Ethereum versus Bitcoin reversal. And so this is one of the indicators that I have not really seen flip yet. This is one I'm waiting on. And so we can see here, once we do bounce off of this and start seeing a reversal against Bitcoin, we could really start to see a lot of altcoins start to take off, especially Ethereum. I personally think Ethereum's undervalued currently. We should be seeing Ethereum around $3,000 to $3,200. So we can see here back in June, we saw a bounce, and then Ethereum bounced all the way back up to that resistance level against Bitcoin. I'm expecting the same thing to happen here as well. I'm just waiting on that to confirm that all of these altcoins are really going to start taking off. And so these 3 indicators here are very important to keep an eye on. The weekly close will be very important in about 10 hours regarding the Bitcoin dominance. And so we'll see if this is very bullish for altcoins. Again, this does not mean that they're going to run for a whole year straight. We may see 2 months of altcoins really doing well, and then we might see a massive pullback. And so just keep that in mind. Make sure to take profits throughout this, right? If you're up 10x, maybe take out half and let the rest ride. I think that's a very important strategy to know your exit plan for profit taking moving forward. And so if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video.